Good afternoon, everyone. We're here with Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson. We're here on Jennings Open Street in the Bronx, and welcome. Thanks for coming out this afternoon.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. All right, so like I said, we're on the Jennings Open Street here. We've got kids in the background playing basketball, jumping rope. What's your first impression?
It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous day. We have great weather on our side, and it's really a chance to bring our young people together to recreate, to have a safe space of activities, whether it's jumping rope, it's playing chess, it's playing spades, or board games, or basketball. It's a chance to also address health and wellness among our young people, because we have high rates of asthma and obesity among children in the Bronx. And I think when you look at open spaces, it's a chance to have an opportunity to activate and really make sure you change the landscape of our open streets, which we all know are streets with drivers and cars, and trying to reduce the carbon footprint and really open up our streets for more pedestrian and children-friendly activities.
It's true. You say that, and the kids they're out here, they're together, they're building community, and it's a really beautiful, obviously weather afternoon, but it's also a beautiful, a beautiful experience. And so, when you see this, how can we do more of this across the borough?
So I think it's important to always work with the credible messengers on the ground, like Miss Lonnie, and the Caldwell Enrichment Program. There are non-for-profits and credible messengers and trusted partners that are already doing this work. And a lot of times they don't get the recognition, they don't get the $1 million contracts from the city, and that's important. You need resources, you need programs, you need equipment. Closing the street is one thing, but what you put on that street is equally as important, from the basketball court to the basketballs, the board games, chess, and everything that we know we obviously need in an open street. So I think it's about getting government to recognize the importance of it and investing with real resources and money. And I also think it's about getting many of our other neighborhood partners, like healthcare institutions, our school community, our faith communities, our other CBOs, so many others that have resources. They have the audience, they have the constituency, and they have the ability and the reach, And that's what we want. We want to expand our reach, because neighborhoods like this need so much. And when you serve one, you serve all. And by word of mouth, by parents talking to each other, going to the same school, within the same school district, they have the conversations about what's available, and that's how you get more kids and you expand your reach.
Yeah, that's a great point. Even before you showed up, Ms. Lonnie and I were talking about some of the mosques in the neighborhood and how they're interested in space like this, which is a tremendous opportunity, because there's also schools associated with the mosque. So like you're saying, it becomes this layering effect, and of course, as you're pointing out, people talk, which is great. Sometimes it's not so good, but it can be good. And so we see schools, children here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there are several children, like schools represented. Several schools represented here. How many schools are represented, Ms. Lonnie?
We have, at the moment, we have one school and one daycare.
One school and one daycare. And so like you're pointing out, and there was another mother who was here before, and she was saying she's going to go get her children from her school and come back because there's not much to do in the neighborhood. And to your point, this is a great resource and becomes something for them. And so what does it take, or what does it look like to allocate those resources? I've talked with Ms. Lonnie, and that is one of the biggest challenges here.
Yeah, I think, when you look at the Bronx, we are an outer borough that's often been denied and ignored and not given our fair share. And I think a lot of the city initiatives have been great: open streets, summer streets during the summertime, and really led by DOT, the Department of Transportation, and this new administration under the leadership of Mayor Eric Adams. But I think we have to do more. A lot of the open streets and the concept of it really starts in Manhattan, let's be very honest. And when you look at the outer boroughs, we don't always get that attention. And now you're seeing DOT have 5 borough approaches. Even Staten Island is being recognized. And that's important. And so for us,
getting their
Bronx,
new train cars too, I saw.
Yes, that's a good thing. And
it's a great thing.
All respect and love to my BP out there, Vito Fasella. And
he's the only borough president after you that we haven't done a video with.
Yes,
so you put in a call that I want to come to Staten Island. I want to interview him next.
Yes, you talk to all my BPs. We speak all the time.
Good.
We have a lot in common, a lot of priorities that align.
Yes.
But I think it's also about recognizing the importance of creativity and thinking outside the box.
That's a good point.
I remember growing up, we didn't have open streets. We had a block party. You had to get a permit. You had to make sure you remove cars, because it was always this car culture that we're trying to get out of. And as a borough of opportunities that we represent here in the Bronx, it's a hard conversation to have.
It is.
Because anytime you close a street, there is a change in the traffic pattern, there's a disruption in the normalcy of traffic and the car culture. And of course, we want to be mindful and sympathetic to those that drive, older adults that have mobility issues.
Totally.
But I think we also want to be very sympathetic to prioritize children. And I also recognize children that have special needs, children that are in the D75 community, that are autistic, that need sensory equipment and special equipment so that they can be just like any other child.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not always recognized. And we're now starting to do that in our parks with
Yes.
sensory equipment.
Interesting.
And that's important. I hear often from many parents of D75 scholars
Okay.
that struggle with accessing programs for their scholars and their children.
Yes.
And so that's important to me to raise. This work is always about a balance. I think when you put organizations, the business community, the bids, the merchants, as well as the CBOs, different organizations that are in our communities, and you have conversations involving the community board, involving
Right.
the elected officials, involving the agencies, you can come up with ideas on open streets that I think everyone can truly support.
Right.
But at the end of the day, no one wants you to disrupt their normal. But
True,
I think
and
when
that
you-
it's a difficult process.
It's a difficult process, but I also think too, one thing we all can agree on is that children need safe spaces and they need recreation in their
Yeah.
lives. It's a part of the core of their academics,
Right.
of their curriculum.
Right.
And that's why we have
And the
such high rates
experiential
of
learning.
asthma. Right.
Yeah.
The experience of learning.
Yes.
Developing your cognitive skills, of
True.
building sportsmanship
Yeah.
and teamwork,
I know.
so that
I
young
was just
people
thinking
know
about-
how to work together. Right? Yes,
Exactly.
we all have our little competitive component, but young people know how to be competitive in a good way
Yes.
and still work together. And I'm on a team, and like the young man said, it's a place where people care.
Right.
They look out for you. You
Yes.
feel safe.
Yes.
And it's the neighborhood feel and the neighborhood approach that makes these programs so successful.
I agree, and I love what you're talking about, creativity, and I think, in the absence of resources, creativity is needed. We were talking with Raymond, who lives here. He's lived in the building here for 20 years, I found out. And Ms. Lonnie was telling me on a hot day or a hot set of weeks, he'll come down here and water the plants.
Oh,
and
that's good.
and it takes that type of collective effort you're also
I
describing.
wish everyone.
Exactly. And so, it takes the resources, but it also takes the creativity and the teamwork as well.
And I always say to many of our residents, you don't need a title in front of your name to care about your community.
That's a
and
great
you
point.
need to realize that we're all in this together. And if we work together, we really are a powerful force. We are unstoppable.
Totally.
And many of our community leaders started somewhere. They started as a volunteer, an intern.
Where did you
and they
start?
Grew. I started as an intern. As an intern with the late great Aurelia Green. And
Okay.
I got an opportunity to work for her when she was in the assembly and moved
Okay.
on to become the deputy borough president.
Oh, wow.
And so internships are great. I love the fact that this program incorporates summer youth.
Yes.
Because summer is the time when so many school children are out of school and they're idle.
Yes.
And we need them to be positively engaged. And it also builds skills. It builds your resume,
True.
right? In terms of volunteer experience, adding more things to your resume so that you can go to college and
Yeah.
careers and real pathways. And all of this is so important for our school children. It's so important.
We got a future
I
videographer over here.
I see the vision, I see the promise, and I see the potential. And I ask everyone in our communities, get involved.
Yeah.
You can adopt your block. You can plant trees. The Parks Department will give you materials for free.
I know.
If only you reach out. Like,
It's true.
everyone is not going to come to you because they don't necessarily know who you are,
Right,
and they don't
right.
always know where the need is.
Right.
But if people are willing to reach out, Community Board 3, the district manager here is Miss Etta Ritter. They're right
Okay.
here on Boston Road.
Okay.
And if we call Miss Etta and say, hey, we need cleaning tools for a cleanup event, right? Picking up garbage. I mean,
Right.
things like that matter. They're
Yeah.
quality of life, but they matter.
Right.
If the garbage is overflowing on your corner, or
Right.
you have to step over a mattress that's on the corner.
It's
That's
true.
not acceptable. And that doesn't speak to what it means when we talk about the quality of our neighborhoods. And it can be addressed.
Yes.
And it's not just, people say that certain neighborhoods get more attention than others. I think there are people that care more than others sometimes. And it doesn't mean that things are less important. It means that people have a lot of priorities, and I get it.
Right.
In communities that we represent, people are struggling for basic necessities. They're living below the federal poverty level. They're working 2 and 3 jobs to
Right.
take care of their kids. And so everything is about the next thing. I got to get to school. I got to get to work. I got to pick up my kids. I got to go home. Got to get homework done. I have to cook. And it's
Yeah.
just day to day, right?
Yeah.
It gets monotonous.
Existence.
And that's the normalcy. But I also think that where people can, we should have that avenue for them to volunteer.
Right.
PTAs, parent coordinators,
Yes.
community board meetings, precinct councils is the 4-2 precinct. And we have a lot going on here. And we can also be involved with our NYPD. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities. And I just ask everyone to engage, find out about what's going on in your community and ways that you can help.
Well, I know Ms. Lonnie would always take more volunteers, so that's an easy plug.
We always need more bodies.
Plug here locally.
And hands.
It's true, and I appreciate how you're talking about that being involved perspective. And one of the things we were discussing before you got here was around how this feels like a community center. Obviously, we're outside, so it's a mix of like a block party. But in that sense that we're here and people are coming coming by as they go to the store, they come back. They're biking by, they're saying hello. They're not necessarily staying here for 5 hours like they would be at the library, but they're coming and going. And so it has that very approachable feel to it. So it's like the neighborhood is baked into it. And I think that's critical to what you're saying about the credible messengers as well. So I'm curious, if you were to design a space like this, you see all the things, we could have more plants, we could have more trees, what would you put?
So first, I'm going to make sure all the cars are gone.
Okay.
Number one.
And why is that important?
Because I think it's an attempt to reduce the car culture.
Okay.
And people knowing that this is an open street on a particular day need to move their car.
Right.
And we put signage up days in advance, and people either don't look or don't think it's important and don't move their car.
Yeah.
And we have to have a behavior that's better. We have to change the behavior so that everyone is involved in this and everyone realizes the importance of it. And then number two, I want to make sure that open streets have a variety of programs, and that's where the city comes in.
Yes.
So we've had, open streets during the summer.
Right.
We've had organizations like the Fresh Air Fund,
True.
Bronx Works, Catholic Charities, so many of our cornerstones and our Sonic and Compass programs, the summer camps. I know them all because many of them are funded in the city council.
Totally.
And
you got the laundry list.
Yes, bringing in basketball. I love karate. I learned about squash.
Really?
Squash ball.
Yeah?
Which is a form of racquetball. And there's an organization called City Squash that's building a new squash recreation center in Belmont.
Wow.
And it's going to be a community center, but it's going to have an entire. And I'm like, okay, the American version is called racquetball.
Yeah.
I funded an organization called U.S. Wall Ball Association.
Okay.
And wall ball is the European version of handball.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, that's handball. Okay, so they call it wall ball.
Sure.
I love handball, and I love to renovate our handball courts. I like variety. I think sometimes when I meet with developers and others that are coming into the borough, they just assume that children of color only play basketball and baseball, and it's annoying that
we got
they
chess
assume
right here.
that. And I funded chess in schools. I funded lacrosse and fencing and karate and volleyball.
Dang.
And these are all different sports that you don't always see students of color. You don't see young girls and women.
Right.
And boxing.
Right.
And so we're looking at all of this. Who are our boxing centers? How can we incorporate many of those programs, obviously, into our schools? But if we can do it in an open street setting, then we should look to do that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, a little bit of a lightning round.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I knew you were going to get that.
It was the last question on there.
Because when everyone asks me, they're like, Miss Gibson, you didn't talk about my store in Belmont. You didn't talk about my store in
Oh,
Kingsbridge.
my gosh.
Because when they ask you, like, your favorite restaurant, your favorite place to go,
No.
like,
But this
every place is my favorite place to go.
No. But this isn't like I'm going to ask you to name drop restaurants or anything.
Oh, okay.
This is more like, for example, what's your favorite block party memory? You mentioned block parties earlier.
God, I have so many memories
Okay,
of block parties.
Well, tell me a few good ones then.
A few good ones. Block parties with seniors.
Okay.
That love to dance. That
Yes.
don't stop dancing. Oh, goodness. Block parties that include fashion shows.
Really?
Beautiful.
Okay.
I've had block parties that are Halloween, so all of the older adult seniors, they are dressed up.
Okay.
Young people performing. I love steppers.
Amazing.
Love steppers.
Okay.
Cheerleaders.
Yes.
Marching bands.
I love marching bands.
Love them. I was at DeWitt Clinton yesterday and got to see the marching band in person. Amazing.
The bass, it hits.
Yeah. And I have to say, since I'm here in Morrisania, the King Charles Troupe.
Okay.
Unicycle.
You're giving lots of shout outs here. You said you weren't going to do that, but you're giving lots of shout outs.
They broke down barriers in Ringling, Barnum, and Bailey Circus.
Okay.
They were the first unicycle company of color to break that down in the circus at Madison Square Garden. And I learned about it when I was in the city council.
Okay.
The history right here in Morrisania.
Right around the
here in
corner.
Bronx.
Okay.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
And the difference is the older generation is getting older.
True.
And they're going to forget to tell the story. And we're trying to capture collections and artifacts of many of our different pianists and jazz artists over the years.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that we are solidifying that at the Bronx Historical Society.
Okay.
Right, which is our
I mean,
Museum
they
of
could have
Bronx
an
history.
exhibition out here on the street and teach the kids about that if it happened right around the corner. Bring it.
Because I feel like
bring it back local.
These are the stories that are not taught in schools. They're not taught in
Exactly.
classrooms.
It's not
they're
in the
not
curriculum,
taught in textbooks. It's real life skills.
Yeah.
But we need our orators to keep telling those stories for the young generation so they know where they come from.
That's great. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit tougher because you are going to have to pick one or several.
Okay.
Your favorite public space in the borough?
Oh, Oh, I have a couple.
Okay.
One of my favorite spaces is the High Bridge.
Okay.
It's the oldest standing walking bridge in New York City.
This is true.
And we recently reopened it under Mayor Michael Bloomberg.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous. It lights up at night, and it's 1,400 steps from the Bronx to northern Manhattan.
So we're getting our workout
I
in.
love the High Bridge.
Wow.
Of course, I have to recognize, I call it our Central Park of the Bronx. It's our very own state park, Roberto Clemente State Park.
There you go.
Named in honor of Roberto Clemente.
Amazing. I love baseball.
Humanitarian.
Yes.
50th anniversary this year.
50th.
1973.
Wow, that's
that we
crazy.
opened Roberto Clemente State Park. It's huge. I mean, Tour de Bronx, I almost got lost in Pelham Bay Park. But I love Pelham Bay because it's the largest park.
Okay.
And it allows the Bronx to be the greenest borough in the city of New York.
True.
I love Orchard Beach because we have 6 million visitors that come every year, and we are transforming the pavilion.
Yes.
All of our parks and playgrounds I absolutely love. I really like the playgrounds. The playgrounds are much smaller.
Okay.
But some of the newer renovated parks, the reason why I like them, the only example I could think of is Cedar Park, which is in Morris Heights, near Roberto Clemente, because when we redesigned it, we have equipment for children, we have playground equipment, we have basketball, and we have fitness equipment for people to exercise. And that's the new concept of parks.
Yeah.
So you cater to the younger, teenagers, and then everyone else that wants to work out.
True.
And I think that's amazing.
It is.
We have such beautiful historic districts in the Bronx. When I think about neighborhoods that have been transformed. So I have lots of parks, lots of playgrounds that I just think are so beautiful and iconic for the borough. And talking about it and making sure that people visit.
True. And so, in that sense, what's your favorite, or what's the prettiest street in the borough? You mentioned the historic districts.
God, there's so many.
I know. You don't have to choose one though, and we'll put a little preface for the interview cut that we won't hold you to just one here.
Okay. So the Charlotte Gardens Historic District, those were the first homeowners in our community east of the Crotona Park, right here on Boston Road.
Nice.
The Longwood Historic District is also recognized for the character of the homes. Recently landmarked Oneida Street in Hunts Point. That was landmarked by the Landmarks Preservation Commission. And I guess I also want to add, we have beautiful cultural institutions. Everyone visits the Bronx Zoo, the New York Botanical Garden. Wave Hill in Riverdale is beautiful. The Bregones Theater, which is the Puerto Rican traveling theater on Walton Avenue, is amazing. We have organizations like Ghetto Film School that are training young people to be film producers. How amazing is that?
It's great.
We have such history in this borough. I could tell you about the Bronx River Art Center, the Bronx River Alliance, Rocking the Boat.
I love Rocking the Boat.
I've known Adam Green for years when he used to be in the Harlem River, and now he's by the Bronx River. What we've done with Starlight Park to transform that.
I know Miss Lonnie was mentioning that earlier.
The Sheridan Expressway and how we've transformed that, and that would be a great idea because it's such a big thoroughfare. We're building housing along both sides and just greater access to the Greenway. That's the importance. We never envisioned a time when we would have families living along the waterfront. And most recently, I was with developers L&M and the city and HPD, and we cut the ribbon on the phase 1 of Bronx Point, which is called the Lower Concourse. It's along the Harlem River, exterior street by the 145th Street Bridge, and it expands Mill Pond Park by 2.9 acres. It's next to the Bronx Children's Museum, which is the first children's museum for us in the Bronx. And it creates 542 units.
I saw a good review
housing.
of the Children's Museum recently on Twitter.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you get to live on the waterfront at an affordable rate.
What's better than that?
That has never happened
I'd
before.
like that.
And that,
Sign me up.
BP Reynoso says this a lot. He said it in the council. He said, it's unfair when they think all the people of color belong on the mainland and all of the affluent Caucasian people belong on the waterfront. And we are really shifting that narrative
That's
now.
Great.
And it's affordable. It's not market. It's not luxury. It's affordable housing.
Amazing. So we'll leave it there. Appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks for coming. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Anything that we missed?
I guess the last question I would add is the future of what open streets looks like.
I love it.
Means a recognition that there could be more that we're doing. There could be more to activate spaces, changing the car culture of our city. Yes, we know we need certain modes of transportation, and that's why we're adding 4 new Metro North stations in the East Bronx.
Yes.
We want people to have choice.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing. We want people to have choice and alternatives. We want people to feel that all of these initiatives like Summer Streets, Open Streets, what we're doing with restaurants and permanent outdoor dining is to add value to a neighborhood, not take away.
Right.
Because some people feel like you're taking away my parking, you're taking away this, you're adding to my commute, and it's always negative. But I want people to think in the positive, because the borough has been behind for so long, and I feel that we are on the cusp of a new renaissance. We are a borough of opportunities and a global destination. People come to the Bronx because they want to. And I appreciate that. And I want to make this borough the best to live, to work, to raise your family, and to do business, because that's important.
Yes.
The economic growth and the viability of our borough is based on jobs and job creation and how we support small businesses. All of that is relative, but you have to have open space. Everything we do, to me, has to have a health component, because I think about obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, everything that Bronxites have been affected by, exacerbated by COVID, and now we're still dealing with that.
It's true.
And that's a reality, and we're seeing that among children more and more and more.
Right.
And that's important for me. So when you think about open streets, you think about health and wellness, walking, jogging, bike riding, basketball, exerting energy. You think about all of that.
These kids were out here playing, and they didn't even know they got exercise.
And yes, they did. Exercise.
And they got lots of exercise.
Lots of exercise. So the future is bright.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
And the sun is shining on us.
The sun is shining, and we will continue to have further conversations about how we can expand open streets and really activate our spaces for all of our children, our families, our older adults.
There you go.
Don't want to ever take away from our older adults and our seniors.
Love
and
it.
also our children and people with disabilities.
Yes.
We have to take care of them as well.
Yes, and I love how a theme throughout the conversation has been access.
Yes.
And it's access and options. And I think you're doing a great job with everything that you highlighted here. Ms. Lonnie's doing a great job with everything that she is leading here as well, with access and opportunities for the youth. But she preaches, like you just said, for everyone in between, youth, seniors, and everyone in between. So thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank
this
you.
is amazing.
Thank you. All right. Wonderful job.
That's a wrap.